Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video will be the first video of what I hope to be a long series about small optimizations that we can achieve and start to implement in our day-to-day TouchDesigner workflow. And today's video will actually not be your normal TouchDesigner tutorial. It won't even be a tutorial at all where I'm doing stuff on the screen and you're just following me up. This will be a full one-to-one lesson with a simple PowerPoint presentation that I have created for you. Today's lesson, as you may have read from the title, is about project folders. We will be exploring them, what they are, how do we work with them, how do we even create one in the first place, why do we need them, and a bit more. So let's head out to the presentation I have for you. So for our case and purposes, here I have our main disk, a TouchDesigner subfolder, a client1 subfolder, and a bunch of project folders inside of the latter one. We can place everything related to our project in said folders, and this will ensure that once we export our projects, for example, by making a simple zip file of any of them, it will always work, regardless of the ultimate device that will host our patch. There's also a particular case that I want to explore in a future video where sometimes we can place certain items inside of what here has been nominated the client1 folder, but for now, let's check how do we create a project folder in the first place. To create a project folder, all we need to do is to head out to the top left corner of our TouchDesigner instance, and under the Files section, we will find a Create Project Folder button, which will open our Create Project Folder window. This window is composed of our absolute path, also known as where our projects will be stored, and the folder that will be created inside of it. The other options are there for us to decide whether to rename the TOW file the same as our folder or not, and whether to create the default media subfolders or not, and I usually suggest you keep everything checked in there. So as we can see, we are now inside of client1, we have the project1 folder, and now that we are in the project1 folder, this is what it looks like. One thing to notice is that not on the first save, since that happens at the creation of the project folder itself of our network, but rather on the second one, the previous latest iteration of our network will now be moved onto the backup folder, which is hands down one of the biggest advantages of using project folders. So we are now inside our project1 folder, and inside of it we have created our image subfolder, and we now start to add stuff one by one. So for example, an HDRI image, a GIF, or a wall mapping, then the cutout of a person, then another HDRI image, then some more HDRI images, another mapping, but then like another 4K logo, but this time is a PNG version, and then some more HDRI images, and the more and more and more. So let's clear it up completely, and let's actually simply categorize what we had before. And you know, sometimes a much simpler categorization system can be all that we truly need in order to make sense of what we have. So for example, in this case, I've just made up some subfolders related to the images we had before, and inside of it I've placed what we had previously just at random. So I know what you're thinking. Does that mean that from now on we will have to write such tediously long file references for a simple image or any other file? To which I say that no, this can be definitely improved by trashing out this wall of text of a reference. And this is because for any given project that we will work on, they can all refer to their own folders by just using the amazing expression project.folder. So whilst previously we had this wall of text of a reference, it can now be simplified a whole lot by simply writing down project.folder and then the location of the image that we have or that we want. One thing to notice in this image, and I will also bring up my mouse here, is that in this case I'm showing you 3 different ways of dealing with the path of our image. In the first case, we are specifying the absolute path, which would stop working the second our installation is moved onto another machine. Then we have the reference from the previous slide, in which we specify the project.folder expression and then concatenate the image /hdri/star dom exr. Finally, we also have a slightly improved structure in which our file path is being read from a table by looking at its first row under the path column. Here's what the table looks like and what I have changed in the root folder parameter, except I've hidden the full expression because by now you should be able to solve the mystery of what is written after project.folder and that plus. If not, I suggest rewatching the video from the start. Before we go, I know that you may still be curious about more stuff that can be done with project folders, especially what I've referred to as other tricks that can be done with this function. But for now, this is all that I will reveal to you, and you'll have to stay tuned for the next video. In the meantime, I want you to start to come up with some ideas on what could be achieved with such system, like randomizing what files are being used, or using only PNG files, or calling for specific files at specified timestamps, and so much more. And with that, we are going to close up on the first lesson about project folders. There's a lot more just on project folder on itself and a lot more on just overall optimizations that we can start to implement in TouchDesigner. But not to make it, too bulky of a video, I decided to split up into a much more diluted series. If you like the video, of course, give it a thumbs up, comment down below. You can always reach out to me on Instagram, or you can even subscribe to my Patreon if you want to support me there. And I will see you on the next video. Bye bye.